In this video, we're going to create a sprite animation in After Effects. We're going to go through a couple stages. The first stage is going to be in Photoshop, where we're going to take a sequence of images and build them up and export them. So here we have an example of a Kirby run, a Kirby slide, a Kirby suck, for example. We work off a template page that we'll just open up right here. And we have a little example here that of a bunch of different layers. Here, let's just zoom in. That we have here, including the idle that's hidden, and all the layers that we're going to work with sequentially. After we've prepped this, we're going to take these images and we're going to import them into After Effects. We're going to work with this background back here. And we're going to just go through a process of setting up all the sequential images, setting up the background, setting up the layers. And then afterwards, we're going to start animating the scene and just letting Kirby sort of, run and jump and slide and whatever we'd like to through this environment here. So there's going to be 3 stages: the Photoshop setup, the After Effects setup, and the After Effects animation, which is a little more fun. So let's go through these steps. The first step is opening up the template file or creating a template file for your character. You want to give yourself a little more space. Your character might grow large, transform, you do different kinds of things that you may regret if you don't give yourself the extra space. In this case, this is such a small file, it's not going to be a big deal. So we're going to work with an animation of some sort. So maybe what I'll do is I'll just grab the uppercut. So we'll do the uppercut. All right. So we're going to work with the template file, and the first thing I'll do is I'll just take this, and I'll go to File, Save As, Kirby uppercut. That folder is the folder we're going to export to. I save all my PSDs in here separately. It's just for the reason that we don't want to bring it into After Effects. The idle is here because I want to line up the uppercut animations to the idle to make sure that all my animations are consistent with one another when I switch between them in After Effects. Ultimately, we're going to hide the idle, and we're going to build a stack of layers. And we're going to run a script. Layers to files. So export layers to files. We'll run this script, and we'll talk a little bit about this in a second. So this script likes to grab what's on top first and what's on the bottom last. So in order to save some time and not restructure things, we need to go from right to left. So I'll just grab this image right here. Copy. For me, I usually find lighting up with the feet is the best thing to do. Grab the next image. I'm just copying and pasting between these files. After I'm done doing this, I'm going to just line them all up. Okay. So once I line up the first one, I'm happy with it. I usually hide the idle. Now it's sort of time to play with these guys. And one of the things I primarily focus on is the back foot, and just want to make sure that everything lines up accordingly, because it looks like the hand sort of lowers a little bit, but it's all looking fine. Okay, great. So I'm going to save this out. File, save. I have all my layers on except for the idle, because the idle was just a reference. I'm going to go to File. I'm going to go over to Export, Layers to Files. Visible layers only. And we want it to be a PNG. We don't want trim layers. That's really important, because if we don't check that off, it'll optimize the file and sort of crop everything, and we want everything to be the same size. So we're going to click Run. Well, before we click Run, we just want to make sure we're in the right folder. Kirby uppercut. Here we go. Run. I'll run the script. We'll go through an inspection. Okay, great. Good, here we go. So everything will be pretty good. The only thing we have to do, and I don't know any other way to do this right now, is to remove the layer name. It'd be nice if it removed it, but we do have to, unfortunately, remove the layer name, but we will get a sequential set of images with the prefix. Okay, great. There we go. So we got our frames here for the uppercut. It's now time to launch After Effects and build our scene. So a few things that we want to do. As long as we have it in a folder structure, we could just grab these guys here. We could just drag them in. It should recognize them as sequences. Second thing that we want to do is we want to bring in our background. We're going to create a new composition. There we go. Oh, we want it to be HD. How did that get reset? So we want to do HD TV. Should be our default, if I remember correctly. Yeah. Okay, so our duration got reset too. I'll just give ourselves 30 seconds. There we go. Okay, great. So Kirby composition's open. We're going to drag in the background and zoom out a little bit. Now we want to scale this up. And I just happen to know what the scale will be. In this case, I'll be doing it 360. And you'll want to know what scale you'll want to use as well. Because Kirby is going to be affected by the same scale. Okay, so now when we zoom in, we can see that things are a little blurry. If you want to fix this look, or you want to have a pixelated look, what you'll want to do is you'll want to right-click on the layer, go over to Quality, switch over to Draft. Also, you're going to get weird things when you zoom out and you zoom in. So the more you zoom in, the easier it will be to work with this, or to at least see what the final product will look like. So I'll bring the scene all the way over to the beginning. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we'll want to pick like a default layer, and recently I've been thinking that it just might be easier just to work with an idle layer. So what I'll do is I'll just grab the template file. I'll just export the idle image. we're going to scale Kirby up. 360. We'll parent him to the background. We will change its graphic quality to wireframe. Sorry, I meant to say best or draft. And this will be our default layer. Everything will be, the rest of Kirby will be parented to this layer. We can always turn it off. This is a layer that we'll animate with, and we'll work with, we'll animate with this layer, and when we're ready to hide and show, we'll hide this layer. So this layer is just like what we're gonna animate with, and just roughly get the positionings as we hide and show other kinds of things here. So we're gonna do like a walk, a run, a jump, and maybe a slide for this video here. So we want to set these up. There's going to be a couple problems if we drag these in right now. If we drag these in, they're going to be very short. They already play really fast. So we need to do a couple of things. By right-clicking and going over to interpolate footage, main, what we're going to do is we're going to repeat it 100 times, hopefully, or 1,000 times will be more than enough. The frame rate's going to be 10. That will slow it down a little bit. There we go. And instead of doing this to all of them, we're only going to do it to the ones that we're going to use in this example today. So go over to main, 10, 1,000. Interpolate footage, main, 1,000. Got jump, punch, walk, and maybe a slide. Okay, well, now what we're going to do is we're going to grab walk. We're going to bring walk in here, and probably want it after slide, so after our underneath our idle. Either way, I guess like maybe for now you just want it on top, and we'll bring idle back up. Want it on top just because we want to line things up. So he's over there right now, and yep, he's there. I just wanted to just double check, see if it was behind the background. It shouldn't be. All right, our little pivot point is covering because he's so small. Open up the transform. We go 360. Quality draft. Zoom in here. We'll line things up. There we go. And we're parenting to Kirby idle. Okay, great. So now we'll bring in walk or run. There's run. So with run, we're going to once again change the scale to 360. Switch the quality, the best. We have jump. There we go. Right click, quality, draft. It's an interesting conundrum here. Do I set up the back? Oh, I think I'm going to base things on the middle. Here we go. I think that's good. Parent it to the idle. Walk, run, jump. And we'll bring in slide as well. if you parent first, then the scale will be 100. Right click here, quality draft. There we go. Okay, so we got all our layers set up. You can see that our jump is going through the screen, but luckily he'll be up in the air when that happens, so I mean, we could move him up a little bit to compensate for that, but I think it's going to be fine. You know, we can hide and show layers for concern. We'll just check which layer he's on. Okay, that's the jump layer. Actually, looking at the jump layer, it does look like he can go up here. Maybe I didn't notice that because of the black. Maybe what I should do is grab Kirby and put him up here. I was using the black to line up his feet, but then also you won't be able to sort of see how things line up. Let's go through this. Okay. That looks pretty good. So we got all our animations looping at once. So what we'll do is we'll just put them all at 0. Let's just assume that none of them are going to be visible except for idle. And since they're all parented, all we really have to do is move one animation, which is our idle animation. So at this point, we can save this project out. So we have a Kirby After Effects project, and this will be our Kirby Animation project. There we go. Okay, well, it's time to start animating. You may find that having certain animations on are useful for getting a sense of the timing. Like we may want to have the walk cycle on. Like what we'll do is we'll make him walk, jump, maybe run after that. One of the critical things about having the idle or your master layer for your character to the background is that you can easily pan the background and the character will be relative to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to start animating him. So we have our position point that we're going to start capturing. We're going to go forward in time. So I'm going to assume like, okay, let's just try out 30 seconds. Make sure I have my Kirby layer selected. Hold shift to make it a straight line. Go to about here. Again, this make sense to turn on your Kirby walk. It's a problem, you can hide the idle layer temporarily. And now we could check it out. Maybe it's moving a little too fast, so we'll just bring our timeline forward here. So when we make our keyframe shorter, he's going to move a lot faster. If we take that keyframe that we created and we bring him out a little bit, like 5 seconds, he'll walk slower. So we just want to find that right time, right? There you go, that looks pretty good. Okay. Alright, so now we'll want to jump. So we'll get Kirby to jump. Just grab him here and be careful. Oops. I have the idle layer off, and that's why I got a little confused. I'll just for now, turn off the Kirby walk. Go back to my keyframes in my editor. And I'd like to grab him. Be careful, don't accidentally grab other layers because that will create problems for you. We'll just have to reposition everything, but try to avoid that. Make sure that you're very mindful of the idle layer and which layer you're selecting. So I want to grab this guy here. We'll want to put him up in the air. Maybe bring him back down here. Now it's going to be tricky because when you build these, you're going to have to do a little bit of work to the splines. And it's a little bit annoying because when you want to grab these splines, their control points are hard to see, but as soon as you grab them, and you can finally start to see the handle. You just want to grab these control points in like this. Grab this guy in like that. Grab Kirby, again make sure you're grabbing the right layer. In my case, the idle layer. Bring him up. You're going to bring him up here again. Bring him down here like this. Okay, and you know, the other thing I want to do is, this is sort of pointless until you make him want to run or walk forward. I'm going to make him run forward. I'll grab the background at this stage and just move it forward. I'm holding shift. And going back to my Kirby, I'm going to bring him here. And again, we got that tension in the curves. There's that point. It's sort of tricky to look for, but once you do find it, it's not too bad. Okay, this is going to look weird, right? Look, it looks really slow. We're going to have to play with the timing of these things, which is fine, really. We're just trying to get the positions at this point. When we bring in the animations and how to show them, we can adjust these keyframes. We're just trying to get the general gist of it down. So we'll do another jump. Maybe we'll end it with a slide, and this is all we're going to do for this video. All right, we'll be running here. And we'll be doing another jump. So we'll bring him up. We'll bring him down. I want to grab him, just line him up like that. There we go. And then move him forward. Looks okay. There we go. Okay, great. So there we go. There's Kirby doing his thing. Okay. So now what we want to do is we want to turn on the right animations at the right time. So we'll want to start animating with opacity. Now, in the curve editor, we could be working with hold keys, but we're just going to make it a little bit simple and just work with absolute values, just transitioning on and off before and after a frame. So we're going to do the default of it being on. We could just hide idle for now, right? But be mindful that it's hidden for you. We have the stopwatch on. We did this at 0 frame because we want it on for the whole duration. We'll want to zoom into our animation. There we go. Perfect. And this is where we'll want to start maybe the frame before. We'll want to switch this. We'll want to keep it, keyframe it, so we get a frame there. Switch over to 0. Now this is off. Now at the same time we go back here and we want to turn this keyframe on, or turn on the animation for this layer, this track. And then we'll want to switch this over to 100%. and start to animate him. Now, let's see. We're not sure. I'm not sure exactly where he's starting his animation. Maybe he's just starting to jump right now. We'll want to right click here. We'll want to go over to time and enable time remapping. And we just want to make sure that this starts off at 0. Sometimes you have to do a little bit of math here because you have to be aware of like how many frames. What time remapping does, in case you're not aware, it sort of tells the sequence where it should be. So if we have like 8 frames or 50 frames, this will tell it where the frame should be at this point in time. So if we start to work with it, sometimes it's still, and then we have to see how it's like counting forward. So we just have to be mindful of like where this should be at what time to sort of get it working right. So here we go. Got the first jump, followed by another jump. And we could play with time remapping if we want to. But I'd rather just speed up the time. So here we go. We'll just make this the final opacity point. Go forward 1 frame. Hide it. We'll bring him forward. Sure, it's not looking that bad. Well, it's a little slow, right? How many times do you spin? 1. We gotta speed that up. It's a little way too slow. It's for hide and show, so I'll have to put him here. There. Alright, let's see what we get. Okay, jump. Let's just jump. Be a little bit. Okay, yeah, this is fine. Okay, bring him here. Okay, that's fine. You could spend, you should spend some more time just lining it all up, but I like to speed up this video a little bit, so we'll just assume that this is okay. We'll move on to the next stage. And at this point, we'll want Kirby to run. So we already have Kirby off at this point. So when we are about to turn something off and keep its last frame and then turn it off, at the same time we'll want to turn something else on. So we'll grab run, and we'll just take run, and we'll just keyframe it. So it creates a frame there. And our next frame, we'll add 100%. There we go. So now he's going to be running. And it's obviously running quite slowly, so we'll just grab this guy here, we'll push him forward. Still running quite slowly. Zoom in to see if it looks good. Yeah, that's roughly fine. And the other thing that we'll want to do is we'll want to start animating the background. So we'll grab the background, and you may not want to start animating them until the character is in the center, or maybe where he starts to land here. And we'll turn on my position. May want to go to the very end of your animation. Grab this and animate it. Right, and go through that. So for the sake of time, I'm going to just skip. I guess we could just do one more jump animation, and then we'll go forward. So here we go. What he's about to do is jump. Let's assume right here. And we're just going to do a really rough example here. We're going to just hit the opacity, go forward 1 frame, kill the run. Now, once again, we're going to, well, the frame before, keep the fact that it's at 0. Go forward, switch it to 100%. You see, here's the problem. He's now, half somewhere in between his animation here. So we'll just in case the time remapping. Yeah, we don't want the time remapping to be affected there. So we'll just go over here and we'll just keyframe that time mapping. And we'll just switch this over to 0. So that way we can have him. There we go. Okay. So at this point here, we'll capture his frame. Go 1 frame over, switch over to 0. At this point, we'll want to also go back 1 step, turn on our, or just start capturing for the slide. Turn our slide on. And again, we're not sure exactly where the animation's at right now, so we'll go over to time, enable time remapping, and just zero it out at this point in time, right? So right, and then obviously once we slide, we'll probably want to switch back to a run, right? So once he's done sliding, we'll switch back to a run. But here we have like sort of sliding for a little bit. So zoom out and just review what we have so far. I'd be spending some more time here sort of remastering the speed, definitely the jumps here, the camera panning. Here we have him sliding. Of course, we'd switch over to a run or anything else and a couple of other things, but this is where we want to wrap up the lesson. So zooming all the way out, I just want to grab this time, switch over to about this time here. So we'll just go over to his, I guess, like a slide first. Slide, there we go. That's where we'll wrap up the animation. Okay. So file, save the project out, and we'll go over and go to file, export to Adobe Media After Queue. This is what I prefer. Some people will just export to the render queue, which you could do as well. When you do this, I guess you have both options. If you do export to the render queue, which is not going to launch the media encoder, what you could do is just make sure when you click on best settings, and this is really important here, that's from the other one, it's under draft, so you get that pixelated look. All right, everything else here should be fine. Press OK. The output, so you want to just save this to the right spot. Save. Under output mode, this will become a little tricky could switch over to other modes. I find that it's a lot easier to select the different kinds of quality settings in this version. Again, that's I'll sort of specify here, but this gets launched if you go over to File, Export, Render Queue. The standalone application here, or not, yeah, the standalone application. This gets launched if you go over to Export Media Encoder. And here what we'll want to do is specify the location. I find that's a lot easier to select the settings here. Like I like the default settings here. You get a larger selection to work with. This is the file format that I want, so typically I want to export on this. There's really nothing that I need to change here to make it work if I do it here. So everything is perfectly, just going through the settings here. Everything here is fine. Okay, export video, export audio. We have no audio, but that's fine. Okay, so we'll just go press OK. And if you're doing it here, you're going to press play. So here it is, and it's exporting. If you're doing it here, you'll just, I think, you click on the render button right there. So it's going to pump out my video. You can see it pumping out my video over here. When it's done, we'll take a look at the animation. Oh yeah, I mean, it's actually rendering the total sequence here from what it seems. So I just have to go and adjust the frame time. No, we'll just double check. I think it's re-rendering the entire sequence. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay, so it should be done. So let's take a peek here. No, that's fine. Okay, great. So there's the example of how we can take some sprite sheets like we saw in Photoshop and convert them into sequences, bring them into After Effects, set up our scene, and set up our character, and then build some sprite animations very simply off them. So that wraps up this video.